Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming this evening. My name is Carol Ayers, and this is my husband, Ken Ayers, and we're at the stage of life we do everything in a team. So we're both League of Women Voters of Arapahoe and Douglas County members. The sponsors for today, for today's forum, is the League of Women Voters of Arapahoe and Douglas County, and also the Association of American University Women, AAUW. The League of Women Voters is an organization fully committed to justice and equity, diversity and inclusion in principle and in practice. Diversity, equity, and inclusion are central to the organization's current and future success in engaging all individuals, households, communities, and policymakers in creating a more perfect democracy. The League's mission is empowering voters, defending democracy. We envision a democracy where every person has the desire, right, knowledge, and confidence to participate. The League is a nonpartisan organization that promotes citizenship participation in government and does not support or oppose any political party or candidate. The American Association of University Women promotes equitable political participation because democracy works when everyone can fully participate. AAUW is nonpartisan and has a strong record of advocacy and action, but does not support nor oppose candidates or political parties. The views expressed today are not those of the League of Women Voters of Arapahoe and Douglas County or of the American Association of University Women. Today's candidate forum is being recorded. This is a forum for the candidates running for the Douglas County School Board. All the candidates whose names will appear on the official ballot for the 2025 Douglas County School Board were invited to participate. This year, there are 8 candidates running for 4 positions in districts B, D, E, and G. If you don't know which district you live in, there are maps and charts in the back of the room. As you leave, you can check. And they're all on the November 4th ballot. Douglas County residents will vote for 1 candidate in each district. Candidates must live in the district in which they're running. Here with us today are, well, we have Kyrzia Parker in District B, but she's not on Zoom yet. We hope to get her there soon. We also have Matthew Smith in District B. In District D, Keaton Gambill, who is on his way. He's getting here. Anthony Ryan. In District E, Clark Callahan. And Deborah Kramer could not be with us today. And Christy Williams will be doing an opening statement and a closing statement. She will read Deborah Kramer's statements. In District G, we have Kelly Denzler. And Stephen Vail could not be with us tonight. Jason Hurd will be reading his opening statements and closing statement. Neither one of the speakers for Deborah Kramer and for Stephen Vail will be answering questions this evening. They will just be reading opening and closing statements. Thank you to the candidates for participating in today's forum. The format for today's forum includes questions prepared by the League of Women Voters and AAUW and written questions from today's audience. Each candidate will have 1.5 minutes to have for their opening statements, 1.5 minutes to answer their question, and then a minute for closing statements. We have two timekeepers today. We have Carolyn McNee. She's an AAUW member. And we also have Jill Smith, the AAUW Colorado co-president. Our greeters today, you may have seen them out there with American flags and cards and pencils and out. We have Kathy Callahan, Stephanie Onigian, Joe Fader, and Julie Clifton. We also have question screeners this evening. Alice Ramsey and Mina Hall, all of these are league members. And then Barbara and Wynn Dungy are technical people. So today we ask that the audience please not react positively or negatively to any of the candidates' statements or answers. And please hold all applause until the end of the forum. Please do not record audio or video of tonight's forum and silent your cell phones. Some of today's questions have been prepared by the League, and some were coming from the audience. Please write your question on a note card, and a volunteer will come by and pick it up. All questions asked tonight and those that we could not ask will be emailed to the candidates. So if we have a stack of note cards, we will make a list of the questions we did not get to tonight, and those will be sent to the candidates. If you would like a personal response to your question, on your note card, you're welcome to put contact information. We will include it with the question to the candidate. You can address your question to all the candidates or to a specific candidate. But if you would like a personal response, please include some contact information. Okay, the final note, Election Day is Tuesday, November 4th. I had neighbors say, there's no election this year. Yeah, there's an election this year. Ballots will be mailed October 10th and through October 17th, sometime that week, to active registered voters. You can register to vote and check your voter registration at www.govotecolorado.gov. Okay, we're going to begin with candidate opening statements, and we're going to start with, we have Kyrzia, okay. Kyrzia Parker, I didn't realize, sorry. Okay, Kyrzia, would you start our opening statements, please?
Would you get the mic closer to your lips, please? Who's supposed to be talking right now?
Up here.
On Zoom.
Zoom, yeah.
Barbara, you not have the PA connected as I asked you to.
Sir, this is the League of Women Voters.
Barbara, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to use the phone and just turn it up and make sure the microphones are off on those two computers, okay?
Well, I have the audio on, well.
I have to go up there.
You know, we have an adapter problem. We have two adapters here. And I'm using a laptop that's set up a little.
I'm wondering if we go
All
in
good.
reverse order at the moment.
Just move to the next one.
Yeah, so you're going to steal it, okay.
Just give me the whole thing. Not on wire. You still need to use the votes.
Oh, okay. Well, you might want to give Carol the extra one that isn't being used rather than take the moderators. Okay, Kyrzia and Keaton.
You're not using this at all.
No, I can't because it echoes.
I can work to that.
Well, is this live? Okay.
It's fine, put it right by the speaker.
Okay. Which I guess is there. Okay, let's do a sound test here. Kyrzia.
Yeah. Hello, can you hear me?
Sound man, if you want to turn it up a little bit. Want to be sure everybody can hear her and Keaton. I apologize, folks.
Yeah, I'm good to go. I heard that.
Okay, everybody? Yay.
Yay. Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for letting me zoom in. My name is Kyrzia Parker, and I'm running for Douglas County School Board. I'm a mom of 2 small kids, a licensed social worker, a therapist, a small business owner, and a leader in my church. I'm also a proud graduate of Douglas County Schools. This is my home. I grew up here. I'm raising my family here. And I'm running because I believe every student in Douglas County deserves a public education that's going to prepare them for their future, regardless of ability, zip code, or background. When I was a student here in the district, I needed an IEP that later turned into a 504 plan. I remember how hard it was at times to keep up, and I also remember teachers and educators who saw past the challenges. Their belief in me forever changed the course of my life. Years later, I came back, not as a student, but as a school social worker. I sat across students so similar to me, just needing some extra support, needing someone in their corner. I helped the special education team write IEPs, navigate threat assessments, and advocate for students who needed a little extra care. It felt full circle to me because I know in my bones what it's like when we show up for our children. And that's why I'm running, to be in every child's corner. Because our kids deserve schools that are focused on them. Not politics, not culture wars, not distractions. Just kids. Their learning, their safety, and their ability to grow up into kind, capable, thriving adults.
Okay, wrap it up,
My core
please.
values are...
Out of time.
Sorry, thank you.
Oh, no, finish up. That's fine.
No, that's okay. I sorry, I didn't see the stop sign. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I just want, Barbara, would you please put Kyrzia's name on the, please? Kyrzia, you have Keaton's name.
I have Kyrzia, too. I have both of them.
Her name is very small.
It's because it's because he joined and he's not on video.
It's because his video's off. When can we use that extra? So we can give Carol back her microphone.
So Matt Smith, if you would.
Sorry,
Stay.
Hold straight up. Here.
Thank you, Kyrzia.
I don't know if I can get by without feedback.
All right, am I good?
I think you're good, yes.
Hi, everyone. Matt Smith here. I just wanted to, I'll take a few moments to introduce myself, let you know a little bit about our platform. Really happy to be here tonight. I'm a Douglas County dad. I just dropped my son off at football practice and headed over here next door. Really excited to be here tonight. I have a background in the military and law enforcement, and now I've moved over into the corporate world and information technology, where I run a global IT consulting practice, working with a lot of the biggest brands in the U.S. I also volunteer for the Douglas County Search and Rescue Team. I'm here because I got involved during COVID when I saw what happened when a school board does not listen to parents. And that's my motivation for being here today. I've carried that through for several years. Our platform is simple. We want to focus on academics. Right now, Douglas County schools are #1 in the metro area with testing scores, 92% graduation rate. Things are going really well. We need to be laser focused on academics for our children. Next, we need to protect girls' sports and spaces. So that's making sure biological boys are not competing in girls' sports in their bathrooms and their locker rooms. And then last, we need to make sure that we are protecting parental rights. The current board has done a great job of that, and we want to take it a few steps further, make things a little bit easier to navigate, and make sure parents can opt in, and make sure they know what's going on with their child's education. The district is on a great path, and that is due to conservative leadership. We want to keep it that way. This November 4th, vote Gambill, Kramer, Smith, and Vail. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Keaton Gambill. Can he speak, Barb, over the audio? Are you there?
Hey, yeah, you're sounding
That
good.
was him.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name's Keaton Gambill. I have three kids in the Douglas County School District. Professionally, I'm a senior supply chain manager at a issue bank. And tell you a little bit about my personal credentials, I guess you could call them, that inform my understanding of our students and parents, that help form my insights into what a functioning school board would look like. When I was 16 years old, I was shot in Parker after a verbal altercation. Probably the only person that's been shot in Parker, or only kid that's been shot in Parker since then in 2002. That experience taught me resilience. I went from a 4.0 GPA pre-shooting to 2.4, graduating barely with tons of assistance from the teacher staff. I was on a 504 for PTSD and the injury. So I understand that trauma can greatly impact a student's ability to learn, and that includes trauma from bullying. So I'm strong on anti-bullying as it affects academic outcomes. And I know the critical role that those 504s and support systems take in supporting children who are experiencing traumatic events. I also have a kindergartner with autism.
Keaton?
Excuse me, Keaton, excuse me. Could you wrap it up, please? It's time.
Yep, sorry. I'll be ready.
Thank you.
Thank you, Keaton. Okay, now we'll hear from Tony Ryan.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Tony Ryan. It says Anthony Ryan here. That's what I get called when I was in trouble with my mom or I'm in court. On the ballot, it will say Tony Ryan. I grew up here in the district. I went the full 13 years of my K through 12 education was spent in Douglas County schools. After I graduated from Castleview High School, I went to the University of Denver, where I got a degree in theater, and then I taught the performing arts in both summer camp and classroom settings. I then went on to law school, and I'm now a practicing attorney. My wife is also a K through 12 graduate of the district. She's here right now with our nearly 6-week-old child. He did let me sleep last night, so this is the first time that I've had some sleep in a while. But he's the reason I'm running, because I want him to grow up in schools along with every other student in Douglas County, in schools that believe in them, that invest in them, and that put them first. I'm focused on 3 things with this campaign. First of all, making sure that we're using our taxpayer dollars responsibly for the benefit of students and educators. Second, making sure we have robust extracurricular activities available to all of our students. And third, making sure that our kids feel safe and supported in the schools that they attend. Once again, my name is Tony Ryan. I ask that you vote for me this November to be a director on the Douglas County Board of Education. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. And next we have Clark Callahan.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Is that better? That feels better. Okay. Good evening. My name is Clark Callahan, and as a dad and as a, my name is Clark Callahan. I'm running for the Douglas County School Board because as a dad and as an educator, I know firsthand the profound impact that our schools have on our kids' lives. As a dad, I know what it's like when an advanced learner loses interest because school's not challenging anymore. And I also know what it's like when a learning disability goes undiagnosed for too long. But I've also seen the power when our schools get it right, when the supports are strong and talents are nurtured, and every young person has the opportunity to thrive. And that's why I'm running, to help build a system where all of our young people are successful, not just some. I got into education over 20 years ago, teaching math and business. I went on to get a master's in education and became a principal. And then 13 years ago, I had the opportunity to move back here to Colorado and help lead the turnaround of one of the lowest performing high schools in Denver. From that experience, I've learned 3 things. First, use data, not politics, to make decisions. 2, always make sure there's multiple pathways for all young people to be successful, whether that's college, the trades, or the military. And finally, be disciplined with the finances so that every young person has the resources they need to be successful and so that we can compensate our educators competitively. My name is Clark Callahan. I have over 20 years of proven results in public education, and I'd love to earn your vote in November. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Clark. Next, we have a speaker for Deborah Kramer. This is Christy Williams, and she'll be reading an opening statement on behalf of Deborah Kramer.
Hello, I'm reading on behalf of Dee Dee Kramer. Sorry I can't be there tonight. I take my commitments very seriously, including showing up for the community. Missing this debate for the most sacred observances, Yom Kippur of my religion, was not about avoiding tough questions. It was about keeping faith with my values and my family. I am a mom of 3 girls, 2 that currently attend DC schools. My family and I moved to Douglas County from Cherry Creek School District a couple years ago. The main reason we chose to move here was because of the great reputation the schools had. I decided to run for school board because I want to ensure that they continue on the great path that they have been on for the past few years and that they remain strong, accountable, and focused on preparing every child for success. I spent years in finance and I know how to balance budgets and prioritize resources. My vision is simple: strong schools, strong families, and a stronger community. I would be honored to earn your vote. Please vote for Gambill, Kramer, Smith, and Vail on November 4th.
Thank you, Christy. Okay, next we have Kelly Denzler.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kelly Denzler. I'm running for District G of the Douglas County School District. I am running on my experience as a career educator, my qualifications in education leadership, and my positive vision for this district where my son recently started kindergarten. Douglas County is a wonderful school district, as you've heard. We have, as Matt said, the highest CMAS scores in the metro area. We have a very high graduation rate, and yet there are also challenges that we still need to address, like our 308-to-1 student-to-counselor ratio, an increasing number of students becoming addicted to e-cigarettes and vaping, a higher than average dropout rate for low-income students, and our multilingual learners scoring in the 4th percentile for reading. These are not just statistics, they represent real children who deserve better. I am running to prioritize educator retention and recruitment, cultivate critical thinking while adopting innovative technology, ensure equal access to education for all students, and build strong schools through strong relationships. My experience as both a classroom teacher and administrator make me uniquely qualified to help address these challenges so that a district that is already good for many becomes great for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Okay, and so next we have Jason Hurd, who will be speaking on behalf of Stephen Vail.
Hi, my name is Jason Hurd, and I'm speaking on behalf of Steve Vail. Steve Vail is proud to call Douglas County home. As a native of this great state, he has had the privilege of living in Parker since 1999, where he and his wife, Donna, chose this area for its great schools, access to outdoor activities, and community engagement. Steve is a corporate IT executive leading some of the most innovative and respected teams in the industry, and he is also a proud Air Force veteran. He has been married to his wife of 31 years and is the father of 2 beautiful daughters that both successfully graduated from Chaparral High School. All this has created a deeply personal stake in the issues facing our communities today. It is his commitment to community values, his 2 girls, and his Christian faith that drive his sense of service and passion for ensuring every child has access to the best possible education and opportunities. Steve and his fellow common sense slate mates are committed to 3 core principles that they believe are fundamental to our children's future. First, academic excellence, because every student deserves a world-class education and life skills that prepare them for success. He wants to continue all the great work that the current conservative board and superintendent have started. Second, protecting girls' sports, ensuring fair competition and equal opportunities for our female athletes. And third, defending parent rights and school choice, because parents should have the primary role in their children's education and the freedom to choose the learning environment that best serves their family needs. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now get to the questions. We will start in a slightly different order so that we rotate it through all of you, so not all of you end up last or first every time. The question here is specifically, what is the one most important issue facing the district, and how would you address it? And we will start with Keaton Gambill. I hope I didn't catch you too quickly right walking in, but you're on the list as number one now.
That makes sense. Well, now that I'm settled in, I would say right now the number one issue facing the district would be risk of financial turmoil should a union come into play, and I would say that's the biggest risk right now. And the best thing we can do is work with our teachers to make sure they're happy, ask them what they need, find creative ways to create an environment, or maintain the environment that they all love. Teachers love to work in Douglas County School District, but we can always be better. That's the best thing we can do to avoid union control.
All right, thank you. Next would be Tony Ryan. Specifically, what is the most important issue facing a district, and how would you address it?
I think the most important issue is that we are currently in a mental health crisis with our kids. As Kelly already mentioned, we have a 300-to-1 student-to-counselor ratio in our district. Those are untenable caseloads for our counselors. It is making it so that kids that need mental health supports are falling through the cracks. And we do have the results from the Healthy Kids survey recently that stated that nearly a third of the students in middle school and high school in our district feel like they don't belong in school. Now, not only is that a mental health issue, that's a security issue. This was highlighted by the head of our mental health in the district last Tuesday, or maybe a couple of Tuesdays ago, when we had a presentation on safety within the district, and she highlighted that if you have a sense of community at your school, the chances that you are going to act against that community are greatly diminished. And this obviously is very pertinent in light of the things that have happened recently at Evergreen High School and out in Utah. We need to make sure that our kids feel like they belong in school. We need to make sure that our kids have mental health supports that they need, because they are navigating a world in which they have social media at their fingertips almost all the time. And it is leading to anxiety. It is leading to issues of mental health that we need to address in our district.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Clerk Callahan, same question. What is the most important issue facing the district, and how would you address it?
I want to start with some data that I think helps answer that question. This comes from the anxious generation. 48% of our young people are experiencing feelings of anxiousness on a regular basis. 42% of our young people are experiencing some levels of depression. 20% of high school students have thought about suicide, and 10% of those have made an attempt. And according to our county coroner records, the suicide rate for young people 18 and under has doubled this year. It is clear that we have a mental health crisis. As a school district, it is our responsibility to make sure that all of our young people have the mental health supports they need at school. Part of that is belonging. Part of that is making sure that when hard times come and we need to make financial cuts, that we're not cutting things like sports and extracurriculars, where students often find that sense of belonging. And we also need to make sure that adults who should know better aren't singling out vulnerable groups of young people.
Thank you. Next, Kelly Denzler, same question. One of the most important issues, the one most important issue facing the district today.
Well, to kind of go off of what both Clark and Tony said, I think that safety is really the number one issue for both students and teachers and families. I think it is something that families are incredibly concerned with. And I think that safety is very multi-layered. We're not just talking about physical safety, although we do have a very robust SRO program. We could expand our SRO program were we to get more funding for that. So I think that that's something to look at. But safety is also about, as they alluded to, mental safety, this mental health aspect. Feeling like you belong within your community, feeling like you are safe at school. According to Healthy Kids 2023, we in Douglas County had higher rates of both in-person and cyberbullying than surrounding districts. We won't know how that's evolved since 2023 because we won't have usable data thanks to the school board's recent decision on opt-ins. And I think that it's important to collect that data so that we can make informed decisions about whatever the policies may need to be to keep our schools and our children more safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Kyrzia Parker. Same question.
That works great, yes, thank you. I wasn't looking for it before.
Okay, good.
Yes, that would be
Okay,
great.
Kyrzia, the same question, the most important issue facing the district, and how would you address it?
Yeah, thank you so much for the question. The most important issue is a really difficult one to answer, but I'd have to go to my first priority, which is putting students at the center of decision making. Because when we put students at the center of decision making, we focus on their mental health, we focus on the finances, we focus on teacher-student relationship. I think it's really important to get all of the buzzwords and all of the negativity out of the school board. When I'm here at these forums, I hear things like conservative leadership. That doesn't sound to me like meeting people where they are and taking politics out of the boardroom. I hear people trying to kind of single out a group of people that when you talk to students, they're not concerned about being protected in girls' sports. They're concerned about the equipment they're getting from different sports. They're concerned about having their fields being flooded. When they're concerned about wrestling, they're concerned about different things, not necessarily what is being talked about on this board. So putting students first, I think, would solve all of these issues, and I plan to listen to students to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Matthew, is it Matt or Matthew?
Matt is perfectly fine.
Matt is good.
Yeah.
Matt Smith.
Like Tony, unless I'm in trouble, Matthew.
Okay.
Yeah,
Same. Okay, you're not in trouble. Same question. Most important issue facing the district.
Okay, perfect. I think the most important issue facing the district is actually this election right here. These elections create a lot of uncertainty with the teachers, the staff, the administration, and the district. And right now, we currently have about a very balanced board. We have 4 more conservative members and 3 more liberal members on the board. What we run the risk here is a full pendulum swing of having a 7-0 board of more left-leaning board members, or we have the option to have a mixed board, continuing the great things that are happening under that conservative leadership. And if you go back in history and you look at times when this board has changed to 7-0 boards, bad things follow every time that has happened. And so, one of my favorite quotes is the definition of insanity. Sometimes it's attributed to Albert Einstein, but there's some argument on who actually said it. But it's doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And so I think that is very important to consider moving into this election. Is the voters have control of the fate of the district. The voters have control of whether we keep a balanced board with representation from conservative and liberal folks, or if we go to a 7-0 board of just left-leaning members. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. So we'll move on to our third question. Okay. In the 2025 Douglas County Experience Survey, almost a third of all students responded that they do not feel safe in school. What safety programs would you prioritize? And this time we'll begin with District E, Clark Callahan.
Yeah, I think this is a critical question, and I like to break it down into numbers. So that works out to about 15,000 kids, so it's a big deal. I think the first step is that we need to listen to the young people. And at the April board meeting, students got up and talked about what it is that they wanted and needed. And one of the things that they shared was a peer mentor program. So that's an idea that comes from young people. They want to be able to talk to other people, other kids that get what is happening to them. So I think that's one thing that's really important. I think the other thing that we have the opportunity to do as a board is create very specific goals for the board's one employee, which is the superintendent. And I really believe that what gets measured gets done. And so if we create a goal for the superintendent around students belonging and feeling safety and feeling safe, I believe that that is a great formula for turning that data around.
Thank you, Clark. So we'll move on to Kelly Denzler. Same question. Do you want me to repeat?
Could you please?
In the 2025 Douglas County Experience Survey, almost a third of all students responded that they do not feel safe in school. What safety programs would you prioritize?
Thank you for the question. I had the privilege of attending the Student Youth Congress the other day, and one of the things that they were saying was that they feel they need more marketing efforts around the supports that we already have, and so I think that that's a really good place to start. Students were also saying that they would like more peer-to-peer support when they might be struggling. Sometimes it can be intimidating to go to an adult, especially if that's your first interaction with your counselor. The students also say that they would like counselors who are just focused on academic advisements and counselors who are only focused on social emotional stuff. Right now they have counselors who oftentimes are doing both, and that's a little confusing. Beyond that, like has been said, we have an incredible Safety and Security Council, Safety and Security staff. Johnny Grusing is second to none. But I think that there are many research-backed ways to improve safety and security. Regularly gauging school climate is important. Addressing physical security thoughtfully is important. Encouraging upstander reporting through Safe to Tell. Safe to Tell has saved countless lives. In 2023 and 2024, there were 348 reports to Safe to Tell of planned school attacks in the state. That's incredibly valuable information. I think we also need to implement universal interventions. We don't want to target at-risk kids, or targeting at-risk kids for support is important, but research shows that as many as 70 to 80% of violent offenders don't fall into the high-risk category, so making sure that supports are universal is incredibly important as well.
Thank you, Kelly. Next, we'll move on to Kyrzia Parker. Do you want me to repeat?
I think, no, I heard it, yes. A third, wow, it is a big number. And I echo what Kelly and Clark said. School security isn't a one-size-fits-all. It has to be a layered system that protects both physical and emotional safety. That does include secure entrances, visitor management, and strong threat assessment teams. I know firsthand because I've served on those teams as a school social worker. It's critical work that requires time, training, and resources to do well. But I also think we need to listen to students, like Kelly just said, and what makes them feel safe. I love what Kelly just brought up. I also think that they feel safer when they know the teachers, when they have consistent adults who show up for them time over time they can trust, when they see when they have a welcoming, connected school environment. It's also after-school activities and after-school programming. It adds another layer of safety, giving kids safe, structured spaces to go and build the community. Because like we've said so many times already tonight, the safety and belonging go hand in hand. And so, of course, mental health support has to be part of the equation because students can't feel safe if their emotional needs aren't being met. And so we need to create schools where kids feel protected, welcomed, and ready to learn. And I want to do that by listening to students and looking at the data.
Thank you, Kyrzia. So we'll move on now to Matt Smith.
All right, great. So I've been asked this question a few times at a few different forums, and I would need more data to understand why students are not feeling safe. So that'd be my first approach, is to get more data to understand why. I'm going to assume it's not physical security for the sake of this argument, but because we have world-class security here in Douglas County, we have world-class partnerships with law enforcement, so we have really good physical security here. If it had to do with that, it would be a different conversation. I'm going to take this down the path of bullying, because I think bullying often leads to folks feeling unsafe inside of school. That is something that me and my slate feels very passionate about. There needs to be zero tolerance for bullying and assaultive behavior in the classroom. I feel like schools handle this stuff differently, from one location to the next. And while I agree with giving folks autonomy on how they're going to deal with things, and there's some creative folks out there, we do need to make sure that our kids are protected. And if somebody's being tormented on a daily basis, it is an awful environment for that person to be in. And we just cannot afford that happening here in Douglas County. So strengthening the bullying policy, but again, it's coming back to the data. Like several of the other folks have said here, I would really want to dive into the data, see if it's a school, if it's attributed to a certain school, a certain area, and really get down to the detail there. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. And now Keaton.
Yeah, I would agree that better data collection is going to be helpful in the future. We have some lessons learned from the first go around of things we could ask to do better, ways to filter down the data to make sure it's as accurate as it can be. The district does have insight into the schools where the data is coming from, but that's obviously not available to the general public, but we can at least look into that to drill down to the potential problem areas, the hot spots where some of that feedback is coming from, and address it on a school level if the data bears that to be the case. But for next time around, asking more direct questions to point to the broad questions don't give enough insight into what the issue is. It probably isn't like the security, because our SROs are incredible, and I know a lot of our kids, my kids love them, or love their SRO. He's a big, scary man, but they love him. But yeah, just orderly classrooms would be a good start, and that would start with empowering teachers more to be in charge of their students, tying their hands less with policy and letting them lead their classroom, as well as more clear anti-bullying escalation, so the bullies know that there is an end point to their bullying. If they continue it, they will be stopped. Stop.
Thank you, Keaton. So now, Tony.
Thank you. So we have a bullying policy as well as an anti-discrimination policy in our district. Colorado law was recently updated, and school boards were told that they needed to update their discrimination policy. Our board drafted a discrimination policy that complied with that law, set out more procedures. It did not protect anybody that wasn't already protected under our discrimination policy, but what it did is it set out a way for all schools to know, here's the trajectory that needs to happen when you have a report of harassment. Here's who needs to be involved in that. Here is how we respond to each individual situation depending on what is being alleged. Unfortunately, 4 of the board members chose to table that. They never reset it on the board agenda. It has not been set since then. That was over a year ago. We're well past the deadline that our statute set for us to update that discrimination policy. And like Clark said, in April, students presented to the board on their concerns for the district. One of those is that policy. They came forward with an even more updated version of the bullying policy, and our board still has not acted on that. So we do need an updated bullying policy. We do need an updated discrimination policy, and we need people on the board that are willing to take that under their wing rather than tabling it over and over and over and never actually making changes.
Thank you. The next question will start with Kelly Denzler. And it is Douglas County starting teacher pay is $52,000 a year, while Cherry Creek starting teacher pay is $62,000 per year. What steps would you take to close this gap?
Yeah, that's a great question. If I returned to teaching tomorrow, I would make $20,000 more in Cherry Creek than I would make here in Douglas County. I have no incentive to teach at the school right down the street. Even though I live in Douglas County, my child goes to a Douglas County school, I care deeply about this community. So I think that there is a lot of progress that we still have to make, and I want to recognize that we have made some progress. The voters in this district voted to pass an MLO in 2023. That did help us close the gap a bit, but we still have so much further left to go. I think that, look, I think the easiest answer is an MLO, but I think that there are other things that we can do. Of course, it's up to the voters whether we increase teacher salaries. In the meantime, while we consider asking the voters, I think that maybe we could ask the teachers what other sorts of things would incentivize them to either come to Douglas County or stay in Douglas County long term. We have a lot of teachers who spend their first couple years of their careers here and then leave to go to another district. Maybe something like a duty-free lunch would be helpful. Maybe something like 40 minutes of uninterrupted planning time. Maybe something like a paid sick leave bank. Maybe something like a cap size on class, a cap on class sizes. I think there's a lot of things that we can do to make teachers in this district lives easier now, and then we can figure out how we're going to remedy the pay gap in the future alongside the voters.
Thank you. Kyrzia, the same question. The pay difference between starting teacher pay of $52,000 a year for Douglas County to $62,000 for Cherry Creek schools. What steps would you support?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking this question. In order to keep good teachers around, we need to pay them. I love what Kelly said, brainstorming things. And so I'd like to take some time out of my response to kind of talk about how this whole thing works. And so sometimes districts ask voters to approve mill levy overrides or bonds. Bonds help to pay for big projects like buildings or fixing schools, and mill levies provide extra annual funding for things like teacher pay and classroom programs. I want to be clear, I'm not asking for any new mill levy or bonds right now. We just passed one, and it really did help. And I've heard it from students, I've heard it from teachers, I've heard it from educators. I just think it's important to understand that even in growing communities like ours, schools don't automatically get more money because of laws that limit funding growth, and mill levies or bonds usually have fixed rates. So the money schools get can actually decrease over time as costs rise. And so when schools ask voters to renew or increase funding, it's often about maintaining what we already have, not just getting more. And I think that's really important when we talk about, and boards don't approve mill levies or bonds, they just put it on the ballot and the voters choose. And so I would be in favor of paying teachers appropriately and looking at all options to do so, including grants. Thank you.
Thank you. Next would be Matt Smith.
Awesome, thank you. I would need to look at the total compensation between the two districts, right? I think it's easy to look at a salary number and say, you know, one's higher, one's lower, but, you know, there's a lot of things that Douglas County is doing, like they haven't increased medical costs, you know, within their programs for a long time. We would need to look at, you know, that and compare apple to apples between total compensation, because there's other things like retirement, your benefits, and other things that come along with this that we see all the time in corporate America. It's also a proven fact that higher pay doesn't mean, you know, folks are happier. It means that you can buy more with your money, sure, but it doesn't mean that you're in a better culture and an environment. And we have a great culture here in Douglas County, and teachers are not leaving to go to places like Cherry Creek because, you know, Cherry Creek is kind of a hot mess. They may pay more, they also tax their residents more. So we need to be very careful. I like what Kelly said. We need to get creative, and we need to find ways and talk with teachers and understand ways that, you know, we can include benefits or different types of compensation. I would also take a very hard look at the finances and make sure that, you know, we're not wasting money or have areas where we could tighten in on and give things to teachers pay. One idea that I've had throughout all this is we should incentivize teachers to find areas to cut the budget, and any savings we get that's identified by teachers or staff should go straight back to them in salary. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Keaton Gambill.
It's going to sound like I'm copying Matt, but I was writing. I'm not. This is. We just happen to align on a lot of things, which is probably why we're on a slate together. Yeah, Douglas County School District retention is high, and we're retaining high-quality teachers, as evident by our #1 ranking in CMAS scores in the Denver metro area. Our retention rate is higher than Cherry Creek, which is where the teachers are allegedly fleeing to for some extra money. But I think what keeps them here is the culture. The teachers I've talked to about why they like teaching here is they're not forced to teach things that are outside of their value system or take on any ideology that they find it appropriate for their students or themselves. So we can maintain that culture that our good teachers, our quality teachers here that are getting us the results that we all want, better academics, and further strengthen that culture by continuing to ask the teachers what it is that they like already, what they want to build upon, and what else they would incentivize them to stay with us even longer and make them happier. And then I haven't dug into the $900 million budget, but I would be interested to do some in-depth analysis of where we might be able to find some money to give raises.
Thank you. Next is Tony Ryan.
Thank you. So first of all, when it comes to salaries, I agree that, changing salary may not actually change happiness. It does, however, change whether you stay working where you are or whether you choose to take a job that's not that far away that pays quite a bit more. We know that after the mill levy override was passed in 2023, teachers left our district before then primarily because of the low pay. They told HR as they were leaving because of the low pay. Because we passed that mill levy override and we raised pay, teachers are now leaving for personal reasons more than anything else. We know that pay is tied to keeping teachers in the district, so it is an important thing that the board needs to take under consideration. I do like what Matt said about waste. We know that we have waste in our district. We spent nearly $1 million settling a lawsuit because 4 of our board members fired a superintendent illegally. We have our board paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to consultants from the East Coast to come in and tell us how well we're doing as a district. That is money that could be going directly to teacher salaries rather than paying someone to tell us what we're doing well. That is waste. That is waste that is being perpetrated by our current board, and that is waste that I would not want to continue were I to be elected.
Thank you. Next, Clark Callahan.
Yeah, I want to start by saying thank you to the voters that are in this room. In 2023, we passed a mill that gave all of our teachers a raise. And if you've ever had the experience of being in a classroom and watching a teacher at work, it is an amazing thing to see, and they are not compensated enough. I want to present an idea that is a little different from what you've heard thus far. Teachers get raises when they earn additional degrees, and it serves a dual purpose. Teachers are compensated more. They become better at what they do because they have more knowledge and skills, and it benefits our kids in multiple ways. Yes, they get better instruction, but they also have the teacher also has ability to offer a concurrent enrollment class, right? So you have to have a master's in the area that you're teaching to offer concurrent enrollment, which allows students to earn both high school and college credit simultaneously. So it serves multiple purposes. It gives teachers raises. It gives young people more opportunities. I think that's a great way to increase teacher pay. Thanks.
Thank you, Clark. So these next questions are from the audience. And as I explained to the candidates, and I'll remind the audience, we have more questions than we can ask this evening unless we're all ready to stay to 9 or 10 o'clock. So I will be sending those questions via email to all the candidates, the ones we don't ask tonight. But I want to thank you for your participation and for all your questions this evening. So this time, as luck would have it, we have this random chart. So we're going to begin with Clark Callahan. Okay. In District E, the question is, what is your position on school vouchers and why?
Yeah, I am against school vouchers. I'll be real clear on that. School vouchers take public money and they put them into private schools and oftentimes subsidize private school education for people who would already who had already pursued private schools, and it's sucking money out of the district that serves all young people, and so I think it's not a good use of public funds. Thanks.
Thank you, Clark. Next, we have Kelly.
Similarly, I am against vouchers, and I say that as somebody who actually did teach in private schools for some of my teaching career. I think there's a good lesson to be learned from the state of Arizona. In 2022, Arizona became the first state in the nation to enact a universal school voucher program, and right now the program is on track to cost Arizona taxpayers $1 billion in 2025 alone. The majority of the kids using Arizona vouchers never went to public school to begin with, and the private schools that are getting this money are not subject to any oversight. Private schools actually often raise their tuition when local parents have vouchers. Colorado voters just rejected vouchers last year by denying the passage of Amendment 80. And we've seen that in Arizona, lower income families said that the location of private schools and additional costs for things like transportation, tuition, and meals keep them from using vouchers. One mom said, just because you gave me a 50% off coupon at Saks Fifth Avenue doesn't mean I can afford to shop at Saks Fifth Avenue. So I am against vouchers. Let's keep public funds in public schools.
Thank you, Kelly. Kyrzia?
Yeah. So I am against vouchers as well. And I say that being a student who needed extra resources. And so the voucher system goes on a per pupil program, which makes sense. And overall, that does work out because things end up averaging out. But when we use voucher systems, a student like me going to school that needed special accommodations just costs more than what you would call an average student. And so when we do vouchers, we put numbers on students, and then those students that need more access, if so many other students take advantage of those vouchers, those students that need access in public schools are the ones that end up hurting the most. And so by lived experience, I just have to be against vouchers, not because on paper they might sound good, but in real life action, it just means less resources for students who truly need them in public schools.
Thank you, Kyrzia. Matt?
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, I think vouchers here in Colorado are a state issue that needs to get figured out there. However, I would be open to, considering vouchers from a personal level. I think at a high level, it makes sense because when a child goes to a private school, you're not getting their per pupil revenue at the district anyways, and the parents of those children are paying into taxes, so I would be okay considering it, but again, I would need to see everything laid out. So just blindly saying I'm in favor of vouchers or I'm not, I would need to see the actual voucher program, and obviously it would have to be something different than Arizona, right? And you could use that as a model, but that's my position on it. I would need more information. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Keaton?
Yeah, I like the idea in principle, but in execution, I don't think it's tenable. It's not the will of the people of Douglas County. If the majority doesn't want it, and I don't think they do, it wouldn't be the duty of the office, if you will, to impose it. So I would be against it.
Thank you, Keaton. Tony?
So I am also against vouchers, at least how they've been implemented as we've seen them recently in Arizona, but also Douglas County previously had a voucher program. It was one of the most expensive litigation causers for our district. It went all the way up to the Supreme Court before a new board was voted in and took away the voucher program, making that lawsuit moot. I am a lawyer, so I'll go a little in depth on the law. Article 9 of the Colorado Constitution requires that every district maintain free public schools and cannot constitutionally allocate funding to any school in aid of any church or sectarian society or for any sectarian purpose, or to help support or sustain any school, academy, seminary, college, university, or other literary or scientific institution controlled by any church or sectarian denomination whatsoever, nor shall any grant or donation of land, money, or other personal property ever be made by the state or any such public corporation to any church for any sectarian purpose. The issue that we run into when we have vouchers is when we have families that are going to religious private schools, it violates the Colorado Constitution. That is why our district was caught up in lawsuits that were so expensive. It is not something that our state legislature can change. It is part of the Constitution. It is up to the voters and the will of Colorado whether we have these voucher programs and whether there is a carve-out in the Constitution. We have already had the vote recently. Colorado overwhelmingly voted no, and I would go along with the voters on that one.
Thank you, Tony. Okay, for this next question, we've been kind of doing alphabetical within the districts, so we're going to do reverse in the district, and we're going to give that a try so the same person doesn't go first every time.
This question is, do you support the expansion of career and technical education? If not, why not? If yes, why?
Who does it go to?
Wow, that's a good question. Kelly, you're up. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I absolutely do support the expansion of career and technical education programs, but I will point out, again, this is dependent on funding, so this is sort of up to the voters. We did pass a bond that allowed for the expansion of current programming, but we do have a lot of programs within our career and technical education offerings that have wait lists. If we want to truly offer opportunities for all of our students, whether those are students who are college-bound, whether those are students who are interested in trades, whether those are students who, want to go into the military, I believe we should support those students, but we have to have the resources in order to do so. So if we truly say that we are in favor of expanding career and technical education, we need to put our money where our mouth is, and we need to fund the program.
Thank you. The next is Matt Smith. Slight change.
All good, love it. Yeah, so we are overwhelmingly in support of expanding career and technical education, or what used to be called shop class, back when I was in school. And so the great thing about this is I think this is one area where we can reach out to the private sector and get partnerships going and get alternative funding to support career and technical education here in Douglas County. I have some, I have some ideas around this, but there are a lot of businesses that are looking for folks to come out and ready to join the workforce. And this is something that I feel we could accomplish here in Douglas County. The unfortunate part is a lot of schools that have been, built within the last, let's say 10 or 20 years, have been designed with the thought that everyone's going to college. So there's not a lot of space in a lot of these schools anymore for, for the shop classes or the career and technical education. You go to some of the older schools in Douglas County, you're going to find those spaces there. So I think that was an unfortunate miss. It's not a blame on anyone. Hindsight's always 20/20. But now that college degrees, the return on investment is just not there. Not everyone's going to school, going to higher education, nor should they. It just doesn't pay off. Career and technical education is a big focus of ours. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Kyrzia.
Yeah, thank you so much. I love this question, and I love that I think a lot of us all agree on this. Career and technical education is so important. It gives students real-world skills and trades in fields like technology, healthcare, and other high-demand fields that we have that we need to fill. And so allowing students to earn certificates or e-college credit before they graduate is such a, it's not just helpful for the student itself, it's helpful for the community. I was at a meeting with Douglas County employees, and they said 70% of Douglas County graduates stay in Douglas County. So when we provide programs for students to be able to master their skill the earlier they can, that means we are benefiting the community, right? When we talk about property taxes and people who don't have kids not being invested in this election, I always try to combat that thought, saying, no, if you're a member of the community, you want students to be educated, you want them to have opportunities, and you want them to start whenever their passion starts. And so I'm a big fan of it. I want to work with schools and build on the programs they already have, and I'm really glad that you asked this question.
Thank you. Okay, next is Tony Ryan.
Thank you. So I agree with career and technical education wholeheartedly. I was involved in theater, obviously, when I was in high school. That was kind of the career and technical education that we had available at my high school because our tech theater shop was the shop class. And so we need not only to have things like the Legacy Campus available to our kids. The problem we run into, I think Kelly highlighted, is we have wait lists for kids from other high schools to go take classes there. We need to keep on the role that we're doing now of reopening the programs in some of our older high schools. I know Highlands Ranch High School just put in a shop class again, an auto shop class. So we have an ability to add these programs to our schools. We may need to come to the voters to make some of it happen, but I think the expansion that we can do to reduce some of those wait times is to put these programs back in the high schools themselves.
Thank you. And finally, Keaton Gambill. And then Clark, sorry.
Yeah, with the increase in tuition and the bachelor degree market saturation in the job market, the ROI, 25% of bachelor programs have a negative ROI over the life of the student receiving the degree. So it's important to give alternatives to college, because that, for a lot of kids for a long time, especially in our generation, that was just what you did. You went to high school and then you went to college. But the problem is, when everybody goes to college, then there's nothing special about your degree. So having alternate career paths is super important. It's the job of adults to prepare the children for the future, set the playing field for the next generation. So being agile in our career and technical job decisions, the programs that we set up, the different pathways, and instead of falling into another stagnant oversaturation of certain skills, being more open to reviewing what we're offering every year or so. New AI technology opportunities can arise, and we can bring in industry experts to help kids get prepared to live in the future that we don't know what the next thing is, but our kids can know, and we can help them prepare for it.
Thank you. And finally, I'll do it right this time, Clark Callahan.
I want to start off again by saying thank you. The taxpayers in 2023 and the board that we've talked about being so divisive worked together to pass a bond that helped make this happen. Not everybody up here was supportive of that. I want to talk about two kids that I talked to yesterday. They came into school just beaming. One had just completed the esthetician program, and another had just completed their mechanic program, and they were glowing. You could tell the hope that they had and the feeling of success that they had, and it was a really beautiful thing. On a personal note, I can also tell you the experience that my son had. Hated school as a 9-year-old, didn't want to go, and then he found his niche in aviation. He got connected to a program that let young people go to flight school, and all of a sudden school became more interesting, relevant, and real. And so it's just an incredible thing that we need to continue to invest in. Thanks.
Thank you, Clark. So for our last question, again, we're on audience questions. If elected, how do you plan to approach shared leadership with the 3 continuing board members? And this question is for Tony.
Thank you. I've been speaking with Susan, Valerie, and Brad since starting this campaign about their goals, the things that they see going forward for the district, the things that they want to happen here. So I've already started the process of working toward that. They are the 3 that are on the board. What I will talk about is my job. I work as a criminal defense attorney, so I have the opportunity to represent some folks that I disagree with wholeheartedly on many different issues. I'm very often the least liked person person in the courtroom. The prosecutor doesn't like me, the judge doesn't like me, my client often doesn't like me, but that doesn't mean that I do not represent them to the best of my ability. I am able to take my personal feelings out of decision-making, out of what I need to get done, and instead make those decisions based on what is the way to get to the best outcome. So I would make my decisions based on experts, but I also want community input. And that's not just community input from people who think that they would agree with me or that I would agree with them. I want input from the people who vehemently oppose almost everything that I think, because the only way that we can get to what is best for our students is if our whole community has a say in that. I am willing to change my mind. I am willing to come into situations without having made up my mind and instead make that choice based on what is best for our students, no matter what my personal feelings are on the matter.
Thank you, Tony. Keaton?
Yeah, I believe the best outcomes come from diversity of opinion and open debate and dialogue to get down to the truth. On most issues, there is a right answer. There is a truth that we can eventually get to if we're willing to do the work and work together as a community, bring in different groups, but also the board needs to cooperate with each other. I want to win people over to my idea or go to them, because if I'm wrong, then they can convince me of that, and we can all agree on what the best thing is, because there are some things are just so easy sometimes when you pull all the everything that pollutes the decision out of it and just look at the facts, look at the data, and make a decision. I think we all can find agreement, at least where we're not forcing decisions that are super upsetting. At least there will be a level of understanding because we've had the time, taken the time to talk through it, make our case, hear their case, and come to a consensus.
Thank you, Keaton. Next, Clark, if elected, how do you plan to approach shared leadership with the 3 continuing board members?
Yeah, I believe in healthy debate. I think of when I get our staff together at the beginning of the year, I tell them I don't have all the answers. I have experience in education. I've seen a lot of things that work, a lot of things that don't. But the answers are out there in the people, in our young people, in their families, in our educators. And yes, listening to our fellow board members and having healthy, respectful, student-centered debate is what we need to do to come up with the best decisions. None of us have all of the answers. And oftentimes the best answer is not one that any one person has. It's the ability to listen to the best parts of everybody's input, that we come up with the best way forward. And so that's the way that I would approach working with the board. Thanks.
Thank you, Clark. Kelly?
Thank you for the question. I think that in order for shared leadership to work, I think that you have to have certain characteristics as a leader. I think you need to listen more than you speak. I think that you need to seek out all voices. My father used to say, measure twice, cut once, before you make an important decision. I think that one of the ways in which you can do that is not to abuse the power of setting the agenda. The president of the board sets the agenda. If you're setting an agenda on Saturday or Friday or Saturday and voting on the item on Tuesday, that is not enough time to have community input. That is not enough time to make a rational, well thought out decision. I also think it's important, don't assume an election win is a mandate. You still have to represent all of your constituents, not just the ones who voted for you. In that, I am very fortunate to be on a slate of candidates with Tony, Clark, and Kyrzia, where we have 2 unaffiliateds. To call us a liberal slate is insulting to liberals. We are a slate that has diversity of thought. We don't agree on everything. We have vigorous debates. And I think that that is healthy, and that is something that is needed in a shared leadership model where you won't be able to guess how we're going to vote on something until we have a rigorous and thorough debate.
Thank you, Kelly. Next, Matt.
Awesome, thank you. I would look forward to working with the 3 remaining board members, and I think I would, really use them to rely on their strengths. I know if I had a policy governance question, Susan Meek would be the first person I reached out to. If I need to understand something on the long-range planning committee or how that process works, Brad Geiger is going to be the one I go to. If I need to understand how the SAC works or understand, somebody that's worked in higher education, Valerie would be my top choice to reach out to. And I'm not promising that we'll always agree, because we won't, and it's gonna require some healthy debate. But I think I would approach this from a place of fairness, but I'm also going to make sure that I seek out community input from the stakeholders, and that includes teachers, students, community members, staff, and fellow board members. And so as I go through this process, I will be fair. And I will also use my experiences as well to make sure that I bring kind of that unique Matt Smith style to the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Finally, Kyrzia.
Yes, thank you. Once I announced my candidacy, I think even at my kickoff party, I talked about how I jokingly, I can't wait to argue with my fellow board members if I get elected. And I say jokingly argue because it's really constructive conversations, right? I want to grow with my board members, and I want them to push me and to see things differently. And so I'm excited to do that no matter who is on the board. And so I know we're running on slates, and I know historically, but no matter who gets elected, if I'm on that board, I'm excited to talk to people. I'm excited to have courageous conversations. I'm excited to understand why people think the way they are, and I'm excited to get community input. And so I promise to listen to people regardless of if I agree with you outside of the boardroom or not, because when I step on that dais, I'm not Kyrzia Parker community member only. I hold a different position that is so important and sacred, right? And so I represent the whole community. And so I know the 3 board members that are currently staying. I have a good relationship with them. And if I was the only one elected on my slate, I would still work with the 3 people that were going to be elected, because it's not about what I believe outside of the boardroom. It's what is best for students once I step into that boardroom.
Thank you, Kyrzia. So now it's time for the closing statements by the candidates, and we're going to begin with Matt Smith. And it's 1-minute closing statements.
All right. First, a big shout out to the host tonight. Thank you so much for having us. Again, Matt Smith here. I want to close on our issues, and actually, no, I'm going to switch that up. I already did my issues. The big thing I want everyone to know, I want to use this as an educational experience. Forget the whole district thing. No matter where you live in Douglas County, you get to vote for 4 people. It doesn't matter. This is an unaffiliated election. You're going to get your ballot. You get to vote for 4. Please vote for 4. Exercise your right to vote, and make sure that you control the future of the Douglas County School District. I believe that we need to continue the path of conservative leadership and make sure that we're not making major changes to the school board. Things are going great in Douglas County. The way that you can guarantee that is by voting Gambill, Kramer, Smith, and Vail this November 4th. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. And now, Tony.
Thank you. As I said at the start, there are 3 things that I've been focused on with this campaign. It's making sure that we're using taxpayer dollars responsibly to benefit our students and educators by cutting out waste, making sure that we are supporting our extracurricular activities for all students. That means removing barriers to participation for families who may not be able to afford equipment or instruments in order to start those extracurriculars, and making sure that we're funding boys and girls sports at the same level so that girls don't have to use hand-me-down equipment or practice on fields that are flooding out, like Kyrzia said previously. And then third, making sure that every child feels safe and supported in their schools. We need to reduce the number of children that feel like they don't belong in school, not only from a mental health standpoint, but from a security standpoint. And we need to make sure to lower the caseloads that our counselors are currently carrying. That is what I would bring to the board. I ask that you vote for me, Tony Ryan, this November. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. And Keaton?
If you're here tonight, I am going to assume you're already a very well-informed voter and probably know a lot about us already. Our slate will run for parents as partners, putting the parents as the first partner in their children's education. They were their child's first educators and can be the strongest ally to teachers to get the best results for the kids. Maintaining academic excellence with high standards, with grade level expectations as the bare minimum, and assisting, making sure we capture students that are more advanced and accelerating them as quickly as we can, identifying them as quickly as we can and accelerating at an appropriate rate. And then maintaining safe and orderly classrooms through policy change involving bullying and teacher authority. There's 4 of us, as Matt said: Gambill, Kramer, Smith, and Vail. Thank you.
Thank you, Keaton. And Kyrzia, I'm doubling back to you because I can't count. Okay, never mind. Sorry about that, Kyrzia.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you. My name is Kyrzia Parker. I'm not a politician. I'm a mom who's up at 2:26 a.m. in my time zone, who cares about school board that much. I believe our school should reflect the very best of who we are. I didn't say this earlier, but my values are equity and access, transparency and accountability, and student-centered decision-making. I don't care about conservative leadership. I don't care about liberal leadership. I care about student-centered decision-making that's going to bring up all leadership. I want to be a leader that problem solves. I want to be a leader that puts our students first. And I want to be a leader that listens to our families, our educators, and not create more division when it's not needed. We need to work together to make sure every child feels safe, supported, and ready to succeed. Please vote for me, Kyrzia Parker.
Thank you, Kyrzia. And so now we'll have Christy Williams speaking on behalf of Deborah Kramer.
All right, in Dee Dee's words, at the end of the day, this election is not about politics. It's about our kids and their future. I support schools that focus on academics, accountability, and excellence. I'm running to make sure taxpayer dollars go into the classroom, that teachers are supported, that parents are respected, and that students are prepared for the real world. Our children only get one chance at an education. Let's make it the best we can give them. I would be honored to earn your trust, your support, and your vote for school board on November 4th. Please vote for me, Dee Dee Kramer, along with my slate mates, Gambill, Smith, and Vail. Thank you.
Thank you, Christy. And next, Clark.
Well, thank you. I want to thank the I want to thank the League of Women Voters tonight. It's great to be with you. I want to thank who made the cookie. It's been my dinner as I've sat up here. I appreciate the nourishment.
Yeah.
Excellent. I really want to. We've got to get away from this conservative liberal stuff. I think people are sick of politics. They're sick about hearing about what side are you on. I want to be clear. I am independent. I'm unaffiliated, and my allegiance is to the young people of this district, their families, and the educators that serve them. I have dedicated my life and my profession to education. I will make decisions that are based on what's best for kids, and I think that will lead to the best outcomes. Thank you.
Thank you, Clark. And so we have Jason Hurd speaking on behalf of Stephen Vail.
Hi. Steve's faith and experience in the military taught him the value of duty, honor, and service to others. His 30 years of experience in corporate leadership has honed his ability to build coalitions and drive real results. But it's his role as a father that motivates him to fight for the values and policies that will create a brighter future for all of our children. If you would like to continue the great work of the current board, please vote Gambill, Smith, Vail, and Kramer on November 4th. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. And now Kelly.
Thank you so much for having us, as Clark said, and all of us have said. I'm going to tell you why on November 4th you are going to vote for Kyrzia Parker, Tony Ryan, Clark Callahan, and myself, Kelly Denzler. If you believe in maintaining academic excellence with grade-level standards in learning, you are going to vote for us. If you believe in accountability and responsible shared leadership, you are going to vote for us. If you believe in excellence, in every sense of the word, whether that's CTE, whether that's CMAS scores, whether that's graduation rates, you're going to vote for us. If you believe in supporting teachers, bringing them to the table and listening to their needs, you're going to vote for us. If you believe that parents are partners, you are going to vote for the parents and the educators. You are going to vote for us. If you believe in maintaining safe and orderly classrooms through experience, you are going to vote for us. If you believe that a board should be nonpartisan, and we should not be talking about a conservative board or a liberal board or a centrist board, you are going to vote for us. If you believe that our highest allegiance is to the young people of our district, you are going to vote for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. And can we give an applause to all of these candidates and thank them today? I would like to thank the Castle Rock Library staff for their help and support today. And also, as you leave today, we encourage you to look for the campaign literature that the candidates have brought. And we also would encourage you to get out and vote. And on behalf of the forum sponsors, thank you so much for coming.
Question.
Yes.
You're giving them the questions that we didn't get to?
That's correct.
Where do we see those responses?
If you want a response from a candidate, you need to put contact information on the card.
So they won't be posted?
No, they're not going to be posted anywhere. Thank you all very much.